The chief executive of Barclays Bank, Bob Diamond, has resigned. Last week, regulators fined Barclays a record $450 million for trying to influence a key interbank lending rate. Britain's Finance Secretary George Osborne has told the BBC that it was the right decision for the bank and for the country. With all the latest, here's our World Affairs correspondent, Emily Buchanan.
Bob Diamond had hoped to ride out the storm. The embattled $30 million a year chief executive of Barclays had promised to push through a review of the bank's ethics. But now, under growing public and political pressure, he's decided to go after 16 years at the bank. In his resignation letter, he said, "No decision over that period was as hard as the one that I make now to stand down as chief executive. The external pressure placed on Barclays has reached a level that risks damaging the franchise. I cannot let that happen." He added, "I'm deeply disappointed that the impression created by the events announced last week about what Barclays and its people stand for could not be further from the truth."
George Osborne, British Finance Minister, welcomed the resignation, saying he hoped it was a first step in a new culture of responsible British banking. That comes on the back of the Prime Minister's statement on Monday. It's reported Barclays chairman Marcus Aegis, who announced his intention of standing down on Monday, will now stay in the post to spearhead the search for a new chief executive. Barclays was fined €360 million by UK and US regulators for attempting to manipulate the interbank lending rate.
Many people, including one leading Liberal Democrat in the government coalition, have suggested the wrong man stood down. "Bob's still got to go," said Lord Oakeshott. "Barclays simply isn't safe in his hands. The board is so hopeless they've just shot the head of the firing squad and missed the prisoner." The growing fear is that the Barclays scandal masks a far greater issue of price rigging inside the banking system. The Royal Bank of Scotland, which was bailed out by and owned by the taxpayer in Britain, has already admitted that some of its traders were implicated. The Conservative-led government, which for so long has argued that the bank should be free from European regulation, has now announced it will introduce new rules, a code of conduct.
Well, there are certainly some major outstanding issues, not least this independent inquiry into the bank's business practices. There's no reason why that should not continue to take place just because Bob Diamond has resigned, and I would expect some news on the name of the person who is going to be appointed to oversee that audit of Barclays' culture and business practices to be announced within the next few days. Certainly, Bob Diamond's resignation will take some of the political heat off the bank, and as we get closer to other banks announcing settlements with regulators over the LIBOR fixing scandal, that should also move some of the focus away from Barclays.